Apollo 13 launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida at 2:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on April 11, 1970. Their mission was to land in the Fra Maura area, the hilly area on Earth's moon. Commanding the spacecraft was James A. Lovell Jr. with Fred W. Hayes Jr. as the lunar module pilot and John L. Swigert Jr. as the command module pilot. From the very beginning, problems with the space voyage began to appear. The first sign that things would not go as planned was during the week of the mission when one of the backup pilots, Charles Duke, was exposed the Apollo 13 crew members to German measles. Originally, Ken Mattingly was scheduled to be the command module pilot. However, because he was not vaccinated against the measles, he was replaced with John Swigert. The second sign that the mission would likely be unsuccessful was with the oxygen tank. Ground tests before launch indicated the possibility of a poorly insulated supercritical helium tank in the lunar module. At the time of the launch, the second stage inboard engine shut down due to high amplitude longitudinal oscillation. This caused the remaining four engines to burn approximately 34 seconds longer than its original intent. Even with this setback, the translunar injection phase went as planned and the launch continued. After launch, things seemed to go smoothly for the spacecraft and the crew. In fact, Joe Kerwin, the capsule communicator at Mission Control, stated that they were bored to tears. A little over 2 days after launch, the crew was televised showing the world their comfortable living arrangements and what life was like living weightless. They wished everyone a pleasant evening and a good night. 9 minutes later, oxygen tank number 2 blew up, causing the first tank to also fail. Apollo 13 lost their normal supply of electricity, light, and water 200,000 miles from Earth. The next words uttered from the spacecraft would live through history when John Swigert said, "Houston, we've got a problem."
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main beam undervolt.
Roger, main B undervolt. Okay, stand by, 13, we're looking.
Immediately after, the spacecraft lost 2 of the 3 fuel cells, which carried the ship's main source of electricity. The crew was quickly running out of oxygen. It was clear that the crew's lives were in danger, and they needed to quickly think of a way to preserve what little oxygen they had remaining until they returned to Earth. Back in Houston, Texas, ground controllers needed to quickly come up with new procedures and test them in a simulator before suggesting the procedures to the crew. There was no time for errors. The plan was for the crew to use the lunar module as a lifeboat. Houston controllers needed to solve the problem of how to use the lunar module to return to Earth, essentially how, when, and in what altitude they could burn the lunar module descent engine. This needed to be decided immediately since the Apollo 13 crew had only had 15 minutes of power left in the command module they were currently in. The crew made their way to the lunar module. Ground control was working on how to stretch the lifetime of the lunar module that was originally built for 45 hours to the needed 90 to return home. The lunar module had sufficient oxygen tanks for the return trip as well as 2 backup tanks. The issue was with the power. All non-critical systems were turned off to save energy and get